If you want Colts talk all year long, you're in the right place.
Fires upfield into the end zone. It is caught. Jelani Woods, touchdown. He's going to fire upfield. It's broken up. Tipped and intercepted by the Colts.
This is the official Colts Podcast, giving you an updated look at what's new with the Horseshoes.
Colts have it. Interception. 2 seconds left, and the Colts are going to win.
In the Indiana Union Construction Industry radio studio, let's get the podcast started.
Are you fired up? You should be. I mean, what are we doing? We're playing on Saturday. We got the Steelers in town. Colts, Steelers, Week 15. Both teams are 7-6. As you can tell, we're just diving right in. We're getting rid of all the salutations here on the official Colts Podcast. Brought to you by Wynn Las Vegas. The Thursday crew is here. Bill Brooks, the legend. Casey Vallier, the legend. I'm Matt Taylor, just some guy talking on a podcast right now here on YouTube. Gentlemen, Saturday football. How do you feel about Saturday, Bill?
You know what? As a player, if we had lost the week before, like the Colts did,
there you go.
I want to play as early as possible. So Saturday is great for me.
Yeah.
So yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure the players are looking forward to get back at it to try to, hopefully get things back on the right road there with a win and playing Pittsburgh still. So. For me, I would love to be playing on Saturday right now. It's exciting.
Yeah, and it's not a primetime game, Case, but, I mean, all eyes are on the Colts in the middle of the day on Saturday.
Right. And one of the things I like about it, too, is you play on Saturday. Let's say the Colts go out and you get a win. You get to watch on Sunday, and you can really
That's the greatest
dive into all of it. You get to sit there and watch everything else unfold after you. So I like it for a lot of reasons. I mean, for me, I like having, the day of Sunday where I can just sit back, and not like I took any snaps on Saturday, but I like being able to sit back on
pretty
Sunday.
Sore.
Yeah.
Going to be kind of rough. It was a long day in the broadcast booth. Tell you what,
my fingers will be sore from typing.
I don't get up and down those elevators and stairs like I used to.
Man, we got a lot to get into today. On today's podcast, we're getting you ready for, as we said, a monster game. Playoff implications all over this one. 7-6 teams here. There are 6 7-6 teams in the AFC. Say that 6 times fast, but that's where we're at right now. And the head-to-head tiebreaker is going to inevitably be so huge. I mean, such a big difference between 8-6 and 7-7 when you only have 3 games to go after this one, right?
Yeah, it makes a big difference, and that's why this game is so big right here. Playing this game, playing an AFC opponent.
Right.
Playing a team that's in the mix with you in regards to getting that wild card spot. So it's a big game. So this is one of the bigger games that the Colts are playing right now. And as you said, 3 games remaining. You had 2 other AFC games you have to play with Houston and Las Vegas, and then you're going to play an NFC team in Atlanta. So it's going to be huge to get this game, to go out there and play well, and hopefully the Colts can get it. So it is a big game.
Well, let's start there. We're starting the podcast here on a segment called Going All In. We've all played Texas Hold'em, or we played, some cards with your buddies in the garage, and, you feel like you want to take somebody out, and you go all in, pushing all those chips in the middle of the table here. So let's kind of pick up there. We just kind of talked about it. The swing game nature of this one on Saturday, analytically, these are what they are. They're fun to look at. They're kind of fun to talk about, I suppose. But, the New York Times, they have their playoff predictor. The Colts currently have a 41% chance of making the playoffs as of right now, for what it's worth. If they win this game on Saturday, right, if they beat the Steelers, those chances go up to almost 60%. If they lose, they're under 20% at 18 with only 3 games to go. So let me lay this on you guys. This game on Saturday, this 7-6 battle, if you will, it's got the feel of an elimination game, despite the fact that there's 3 games to play after this one, but an elimination-type game feel to this one, given the crowded nature and the parity in the AFC. Casey, are you all in on that statement?
100%. All in. Completely all in. I know how Bill feels about the must-win, but this one, if it's not about his must-win, I mean, there's 2 ways to look at the word must-win, that phrase. There's so much writing, and the guys know it. You know how important it is when you look at it from, the teams that are in the hunt fighting, and it's teams like the Browns you don't have a win against, the Bengals you don't have a win against. So when you look at head-to-heads, that's where, you mentioned it at the top here, that's where it's going to be so important. And the Steelers being right there, you got to get these head-to-heads. You got to win in the conference. So just in that looking at it from that view, that's why this is such a pivotal game, because you talk about it. I mean, you go up, what is that, 50 percentage points essentially from a win and a loss, roughly? Yeah. I mean, if that doesn't speak to how important this game is, if you're not all in on Saturday, sorry about you.
And like Casey said, not only is the head-to-head tiebreaker so pivotal, but if you get even further into the weeds, let's say, Pittsburgh gets this win on Saturday, but then they stub their toe later on in the season, week 17, week 18, and both teams finish with, whatever it is, 10-7 records or 9-8, whatever the math says. Another part of this is, Bill, it's an AFC game.
Yes.
And both teams are 5-4
Yep.
against the AFC, which is another component of how just mega. I feel like Will Ferrell in that movie about the ABA, like the Mega Bowl. That's what that's what this is. That's the feeling I have about this game. What's that? What is the name of that movie?
Semi-Pro.
Semi-Pro. Thank you.
We got the bear coming at halftime. He's going to wrestle the bear.
Corn dogs, Jackie. That's a reference you didn't think you were going to get to.
Dukes.
Yeah, Dukes. There's a hippie on the field trying to attempt an impossible shot. Sorry, I stole your thunder there, Bill.
No, that is fine. But you are right, though, Matt.
My bad.
You are right, though.
That's what I do.
It's a lot better than being 5-5. You can be 5-5 and 6-4 in the conference, and that is big. That is huge. That's why you want to win this game. Not so much just for the head-to-head, but also, you play Cleveland, who's in the same battle with the Colts. Mm-hmm. You lost to Cleveland, unfortunately. You want to win this game against Pittsburgh, so another head-to-head, get that win, but also the AFC battle. So you want to go up to be 6-4, knowing you have two other AFC games to play with Las Vegas and Houston.
Right.
Hopefully you can win those games as well, but you want to try to win as many tiebreakers as you can in this scenario, because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what other teams are going to do. So if you can win a tiebreaker of head-to-head, tiebreaker of AFC conference record, that goes a long way of you hopefully playing later in January.
And part of it, too, is you still are in an area where you kind of control your destiny.
Yeah.
So it's in your control. So you have that power, and it's got to be one of those things you understand that, okay, we do control it, because you start getting to that point where, maybe you slide one here against Pittsburgh, you might go out and win your next three. But because of certain tiebreakers or what of that, it could be out of your – so this is a way that you can contain and stay in control of what you do the rest of the way.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, let's continue and talk about whether or not we're all in. The second subject matter here is the run game and whether or not that's holding this offense back right now, because after exceeding the 100-yard rushing mark 6 times in the first 8 games of the season for the Colts, they've only reached that number once over the last 5 weeks. And during that 5-game stretch, fellas, the Colts are averaging just 80 rushing yards per game, 3.2 yards per average or per attempt, and the 101 yards the Colts have posted in the last 2 games, 1 win, 1 loss to the Titans and the Bengals. That's their smallest 2-game total since the 2018 season. And in the last 2 games, right, the Colts are only averaging about 2.5 yards per carry, which ranks 30th in the NFL. So, Bill, I'll start with you. The Colts' struggles on offense lately, they can be pointed back to the lack of success on the ground. Are you all in on that statement?
I am all in on that, because I think it's important for the team to be able to run the ball, not to be so one-dimensional where, especially if you're going against a team like the Steelers and T.J. Watt is expected to play. Yeah. So you have him. You don't want him just teeing off, going to the quarterback and putting pressure on the quarterback and wreaking havoc back there. So I think you need to run the ball to kind of have a balance out there, to keep the team, the opponent off balance a little bit, so that you have balance and so they don't know exactly what you're doing. Then also hopefully can help set up the play-action pass, get some passes down the field, and try to kind of open up the offense, so to speak, and try to get the ball vertically downfield to some of the guys on the team like Alec Pierce and get him more involved in the passing game. So I think it's imperative for the Colts to go out there and run the ball efficiently. I'm not saying they have to run for 200 yards or anything like that, but run the ball effective enough to keep the opponent off balance.
One of the things that we had mentioned early in the year was the usage of Jonathan Taylor. I know he's not going to play, but the usage of Jonathan Taylor and Zach Moss in the passing game, which is kind of an extension of the run. And that is one thing we've kind of seen it regress in that span. So I think that's also part of it. We saw it last week in Cincinnati. Yeah, they had a handful of big plays, but a couple of those were just screen passes that they were able to, and that is an extension of the run. So it's things like that. So yes, the run game has to get going to help the offense in the passing game and moving the football down the field, but it's all of that goes into it. So yes, I would agree. Maybe I'm not all in on that statement. I would say I'm more, 85% of my chips are in the middle because the run game definitely
you can play one more hand.
You got enough where you can maybe play one more hand if you don't win. Right. But I would agree the run game definitely needs to really get back into rhythm because it is a big point of this offense.
And you got to do something to negate those linebackers. I mean, Cincinnati, they provided a little bit of a blueprint. Not that they did anything overly exotic or, outside of the norm in terms of what you're trying to do to an in-rhythm, short-passing quarterback like Gardner Minshew. But those linebackers were so close to the line of scrimmage, they played downhill. Quentin Nelson talked this week about not being able to get to the second level consistently. And you got to have some big runs back in this offense too, right? In the last couple of games, I think the Colts only have one run over 10 yards. They had one run that was negated. That was a touchdown run by Zach Moss that got wiped off by what I thought was a bad call on a Quentin Nelson hold. But, if you look at it, the Colts are really struggling right now on first down running the ball.
Yes.
That is screwing up their drives. They've picked up just 50 yards on 17 first down runs the last two games.
Wow.
Bill, that's a big reason why the Colts have converted 6 out of 25 on third down in the last two games because they're not kind of setting themselves up for success on 2nd and 6 or 3rd and 3 or less because first down, running the ball, it's been really hard. They've been in 2nd and 8, 3rd and 11 a lot here in the last 4 or 5 weeks of this part of the schedule.
And as you stated, it just makes it difficult to get first downs because you're behind the chains. When you're 2nd and 8, 2nd and 9, that makes it very difficult to hopefully get some more yards and then be in the 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, which you want to be in to help you kind of have a balance where, we can run the ball or we can pass the ball to keep the defense off balance, not knowing what we're going to do on third down to help you get first down. So I think those are big plays on first down, especially when you run the ball, to hopefully get 4 or 5 yards on first down. If you get 4 or 5 yards on first down, it puts you in good position on second down, some plays you can run. It kind of opens up your playbook a little bit to do more things on second and third down.
All right, let's talk about the Steelers. They do 4 things really well. They're kind of an interesting team. To talk big picture on them real quick, obviously they're 7 and 6. And on offense, they don't turn the ball over, right? They only have 11 turnovers for the entire season, which is tied for first. They're running the ball right now incredibly well. As a team, they've got over 900 yards rushing in the last 6 games, which leads the NFL in that span. They've got 2 really good backs in Harris and Jalen Warren, who's kind of coming out of nowhere, a second-year undrafted guy out of Oklahoma State. Then on defense, really good point total, really good takeaway numbers, and really good numbers inside the 20-yard line, keeping teams out of the end zone once they get in the red zone. So those 2 things combine for really good point total allow. So they're not a flashy team. They're really conservative right now on offense. They don't push the ball down the field. Mitch Trubisky is the backup quarterback right now playing for Kenny Pickett. But let's go all in on a statement here on the Steelers because their defense, as I said, really good, and it starts with those edge rushers. And you just talked about it. Somebody said, I forget who it was, but somebody said T.J. Watt's going to play.
Well, he just came out of nowhere. That's what he does. He's everywhere.
He was in the concussion protocol stemming from last Thursday's loss to the Patriots. He's back. He's cleared that. Alex Highsmith was in the protocol stemming from that game as well. And as we're sitting here taping this on Thursday, no definitive timeline or no definitive word, I should say, on him, whether or not he's going to play on Saturday. So we know as of right now, Watt's in, Highsmith is a question mark. But those 2 guys, Watt and Highsmith, and you throw in Hayward as well, Watt and Hayward have combined for 172 sacks. Stop me when you're not impressed. 11 total Pro Bowls, 6 All-Pro nods. The universe in quarterback hits, 219 tackles for loss, 34 forced fumbles. I mean, these are absolute game wreckers, and it's trending like both guys are going to be available along with Hayward's availability on Saturday as well. So Casey, Watt, and Highsmith's availability, I should say, it makes all the difference for the Steelers in this game. Are you all in on that statement? Without those two guys, are they the same defense?
I'm all in. I mean, I would say Watt mainly, just because you know what he can do. Watt is one of those guys that I almost, put it like what we saw when we took on the Browns in Myles Garrett. Yeah. I mean, he has the ability to, sometimes you look at a defensive player and you're like, all right, you don't want him to change the game on 1 or 2 plays. TJ Watt's the guy that can do that on 8 plays, on 10 plays. And that's he is all universe when it comes to a defensive end, and that's one of the things that,
it's just like his brother.
He's just like his brother. I was just about to say that. I mean, we saw it with JJ when he was in Houston for
Too
so
often.
long, and TJ's picking up, he's carrying that family name.
Yeah,
100%. I mean, there's a good argument there for that. So, I mean, those two guys, it's impossible to say you have to neutralize them. Like, nobody can do it. Like, that's everybody's like, they let Myles Garrett do this. Like, he does that against a lot of people.
And no Braden Smith.
No Braden Smith.
He's been ruled out for this game. For
Blake
the Colts.
Freeland has been one of those guys that I don't know necessarily when he was drafted. I thought you're going to need him a lot, like we have. But you talk about baptism by fire. He has been thrown out there as a rookie. He's held up pretty well. This is going to be another really big test for him. And Bernard. I mean, Bernard's coming off a game in Cincinnati where I'm sure he feels like he wasn't his best by any means. So both of those guys are going to be, they're going to be challenged for sure. And interior, when you talk about Cameron Hayward, those 3 guys, that right there, you wonder why the Steelers are 7-6. And I would just say those 3 guys right there, because when you have them on a defense, they can change the game at any point, and that is, I'm all in for the Steelers because those guys, they mean so much. So it's going to be interesting to see how this Colts offensive line can handle that D line.
You saving any chips over there?
I'm gonna save a little chips. The only reason I'm saying that is because let's not forget about Cam Hayward. Let's not forget about Minkah Fitzpatrick. Let's not forget about those guys. Those guys play a big part in that
really
defense.
good too, yeah.
Minka's very
Maybe
good.
one of the best safeties in the game.
Exactly. So I'm not going to say just those 2 guys, but when you add all the guys there, as far as with Cam and Minkah, those guys are pretty good.
Yeah. Joey Porter now, too.
Those guys are pretty. Joey Porter Jr. Yeah, not the Joey
Yeah.
Porter that I played against. No, not him. No, not him.
Mr. Abs.
No,
remember those?
No, but exactly.
He never wore his jersey right.
But having Minkah back there, what he does, controlling the secondary back there. Yes, I know they've given up some big plays, passing wise and stuff like that, but he is a big player for them as far as Minkah being a leader back there on defense. So I'm not going to go all in on just those 2, Highsmith and TJ, but if you throw in the rest of the guys, they're going to be a handful to handle.
I'm not saying it's the steel curtain, but this is what you expect when you play Pittsburgh. Yeah. You know you're going to get a defense that's going to have game breakers, and that is exactly what you're going to see on Saturday.
Yeah.
All right, that's all in right there. Let's close out the podcast. Let's transition here to wrap up here. I just got an email, by the way. I don't know if you got that, Kimberly. On the this is live podcast.
This is live. Here it is.
This is what we do. I just got another one too. Yeah.
Here we go. We'll keep rolling.
By the way, I have to pick up milk on the way home. I got a text from my wife, right? No, let's close out the podcast here. Talk about some hidden figures. All right, some hidden figures that we dug up this week to kind of bring to the light or to the surface on what you need to know about this Colts and Steelers matchup. One that just kind of, Casey, I know you and I were working on this earlier in the week. We kind of always do just our big charts that we put together for the game.
A lot of charts.
We chart a lot. Yeah. But one thing that kind of stuck out to us, Casey, kind of slapped us right in the face on like how big of a discrepancy there is with this Steelers team between first half and second half.
Man, yeah.
Take a look at this. They've scored just 88 points all season in the first half, which is the 3rd fewest points in the NFL. They've been outscored by 71 points in the first half this season. That's a really big number. Yeah. But in the second half, this is where it just gets really interesting. Second half this year, the Steeler defense, they carry that sluggish offense. As I said, they're only scoring about 16 points per game. So the defense is winning them games. They're giving up, on average, just 3.3 points per game in the fourth quarter and yielding just 7 points on average in the second half, which is number 1 in the NFL. And it kind of makes sense because if you're kind of paying attention, peripherally to the Steelers going into this game, Casey, they won 5 of their first 8 games despite being outgained in all of those games. And when you look at these numbers, Bill, it kind of makes sense. Like their offense is definitely the weak sister between their two main units. The defense has been elite, especially once they get a sense of who you are that day and they take away your best weapons and kind of make you play left-handed there. So with all of that in mind, I know I threw a lot at you, but how important is it for the Colts to just simply get off to a good start? You're playing at home. The upper deck is going to be filled with terrible towels, those ugly yellow rugs that I use to clean my garage with. How important is it to just get off to a double-figure lead or a two-score lead early in this game and make their offense play from behind, which is what they don't want to do?
I agree with you there, okay? I think you need to do that. You need to get up on them early.
Yeah.
Real early. And when you get up on them early, they know that their offense is not that explosive, so to speak, so they're going to have to try to figure out ways to get the ball down the field with Mitch Trubisky. And I think when you have Mitch Trubisky back there, he's a good athlete back there, but I think the more he has to pass the ball, it increases the probability that he's going to make a mistake.
There you go.
And so I think that what you need to do is make sure you try to get up on them early, make them play from behind, put the ball in Mitch Trubisky's hand, get the ball out of Jalen Warren's hand and Najee Harris's hand.
Yeah.
So they run the ball because they have a good running game. And then see if he can beat you. Now, don't get me wrong. One of the guys I think on the team, offensively, from a Pittsburgh Steelers standpoint, I like is Freiermuth. I think he's very good. I think he's going to play an important part in this game for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I think if you can get up on them early and put the ball in Trubisky's hands and let him try to beat you, I think that would bode well for the Colts. And if the Colts can also not turn the ball over,
right,
because this is a very good team. They're plus 10 as far as the turnover ratio.
Yeah.
So they hold on to the ball. They don't turn the ball over, as you mentioned, Matt, and they create a lot of turnovers for themselves. So I think they're going to try to turn you over, and they're trying to hold the ball for themselves. And they're going to play a kind of a grinded out ugly game.
Ugly.
Yeah,
They
ugly game.
do.
That's the way. That's what they're going to do. That's what they want to play. They want to play ugly games. So you need to jump on them early to make them try to do something that they don't normally do and don't do it that well.
I don't want to steal your thunder, but I mean, to Bill's point, they are a classic case of just we're not flashy. We don't push the ball down the field. We're not going to have gaudy passing numbers. In fact, I think for the season, they're averaging less than 200 yards passing on the year. Yep. But they're just a classic case of if we don't turn the ball over and we punt and play defense,
100%.
we're going to be in all these games, and they have been. And they're just simply making more plays in the fourth quarter while hanging around to that stage of the game.
And this is cliche, but like we talk about it all the time, how touchdowns are so much more important than field goals. I think it's a little opposite in this game. I think points are going to be so key, whether you're getting 3 or 7. I think anytime you get inside the 50, you want to score a touchdown. I just don't think this Steelers team is going to be able to go with you toe-to-toe when you're – so I think that is what is the most important thing when I'm looking at – I mean, we look at third down numbers, we look at red zone numbers, and they've both been really, really bad over the last handful of weeks for the Colts. Mm-hmm. So, you need to change those, but I think points are just so much at a premium this week. Making sure, like you said, Bill, not turning the football over, but just points are going to be so key. And this is, I mean, I don't want to say that I'm hoping this happens because you never want to see a team implode. But they got a couple guys on their team that are a little volatile. A little volatile. Whether that's, George Pickens or Deontay Johnson, who have, they've on tape, you see them either visibly upset or taking plays off. They do that when they're down, when they're trailing. So getting points on them and see if you look at those two guys, I mean, outside of Najee Harris and Warren, that's all they have. Now, those are their two weapons offensively. Get them frustrated. Get them angry. That's what I want to see. So I want to see the Colts, whether it's getting 3, whether it's getting 7, put points on the board because I think points are going to be key in this game. And that might just be 12. You may get 12, and that could be enough.
That's high-level analysis right there from Casey Vallier. Scoring points, that's a good thing.
There it is. I knew it was coming.
In week 15. We waited all year, but points are good.
And if you get more than another team, you just might
bodes
win.
well.
You might win the game.
That's what happened.
Mr.
That's
Obvious
how we're
here.
going to beat them this week, everybody. All right, our last hidden number. See, we even got a laugh from Kimber behind the camera there. All right, our last hidden number and key to this game. Let's go to Michael Pittman's consistency to close out here. He ranks 4th in the NFL. He's got 95 catches this season. He is 2nd in the NFL in targets. Bill, I know you're loving yourself some number 11 right now for the Colts.
Yes, I
He's
am.
got at least 8 catches in 6 straight, 7 of his last 9, and 10 of 13 games the Colts have played this season. He is Mr. Consistency. He's got 322 career catches, the most of any Colts receiver through their first 4 games, or I should say first 4 seasons in the NFL. And I think the most impressive part of all of that is that he's played with 7 different starting quarterbacks, 7 of them, and he's almost on record. What he's got, he needs 5 catches and 16 receiving yards on Saturday to become a 100-catch guy and a 1,000-yard receiving guy this year in 2023. But the number I'm going to leave you with that we dug up, the hidden number here, is that his target share this season, 31%, which is 5th highest in the NFL. So a lot of targets, a lot of catches. Right now, this offense, it used to be it was Downs and Pittman. Right now, it's Pittman. Right, in the passing game. So how do you look? You're the perfect guy to ask and start with, Bill, because you're in the Ring of Honor for a reason. How do you look at Pitt's season? Dominant, even with the backup quarterback, or the Colts have had to rely on him because of the short passing game and the other weapons around him?
Dominant. I would say dominant, just because he's doing what they ask of him. He's going out there making plays, making big plays. And the thing I like about Pitt, he wants to be that guy. He wants to be the guy that's out there and say, hey, look, when you need a big play, I want to be the guy that makes the big play. And that's a guy that's not, scared of the big moment or whatever. He wants to be in the moment. He wants to help his team win football games. So I like that about Pitt. And when you're talking about the most receptions in 4 years for any Colts in Colts history, you're talking about Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne. You got T.Y. Hilton.
Bill Brooks.
You got Raymond Berry. You got those guys. So that's saying a lot about Pitt. And for the Pitt, not just to do it on the football field, but to do it where the young guys can see how it should be done in practice, in the meeting rooms, and things like that. And just being there for the guys. And to do it with, how many quarterbacks you said? 7? 7 different quarterbacks. You know how hard that is each year to learn a different quarterback and be ready and understand what they want as far as from the receiver and what the quarterback's looking at. So for Pitt to do that and come in each and every year and work at it and be this successful, that says a lot about Pittman, not only his physical talent, but his character as well.
What do you think in this game, though? I mean, is it another 10-target game for Michael Pittman Jr.? How do you see the Steelers trying to slow him down and take away Gardner Minshew's favorite target? I mean, it's going to be probably Joey Porter Jr., right?
Yeah, I would assume Joey Porter Jr., but honestly, the way that Pittman is playing, I think he's just going to get his. Like, he's almost that guy where it's like you can just pencil him in for 8 catches for 85 yards, and he might score a touchdown. And everything else you get's gravy. And it's one of those things that we heard from Reggie Wayne this week talking about him. And he said, the biggest thing is that, like Bill mentioned, he wants it. He wants to be that guy, and he wants it Monday through Friday.
Yep.
And that's where it shows up on Sundays because, as Reggie said, he goes, he's at the jugs machine more than anybody. He goes, his hands are so underrated that, yeah, he's got all these catches because every time they throw him the football, he's going to be able to get his hands on it. And it's just he continues to work and continues to lead by example. And I'm sure for him, he's looking at the receiver group, and he wants everybody else to get theirs as well. But when you have a guy just playing in a zone like he's in, I mean, 6 straight games of 8 catches?
It's a confidence level right now.
Like,
that it comes from such a healthy place, too. To your point, it's not like I need the ball over
100%,
anybody else. But if you throw it to me, I'm going to catch it. I'm going to take care of this. I'm going to put us in a position where we get a first down or throw it to me in the red zone when we need a touchdown because I know I'm going to get the job done. That's where he's at right now.
And I would agree. I think you guys would agree with me on this. Like, watching him play, I mean, he does the dirty work too. So that's
Yes.
where, like, you're
he
not
loves to
wrong at
block.
all. Like,
Yeah.
he wants to get out there and block. He wants to make a lane for someone to make a big play. So, I mean, he embodies all of that. That dog mentality, wherever you want to have. I mean, he has got it. And this zone that he's in right now, that's why you ask what he's going to do this weekend. I just kind of pencil him in for Pittman to be Pittman.
And this week, I think he's going to love to play against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Right.
A physical team.
Oh, yeah.
He wants to be physical. He wants that. He wants the ball.
You just have to hope that he doesn't get thrown out of the game. I'm being serious.
You're right. I
You
mean,
just have to hope he
but
doesn't get
a little
ejected.
This is the
fiery,
type
yeah.
of game that he likes to play in because he's a physical guy. He wants to play in this game. And Pittsburgh, they're a physical team. We all know that.
Oh, yeah.
We know the history of the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're a very physical team. He wants to be that guy. And also to the point that, say, hey, he wants the ball. He makes a big catch on third down. He makes a big catch throughout the game. The quarterbacks see that.
Oh, yeah.
The quarterbacks know that. So when the quarterback's getting in trouble, who do you think they're going to look
Right.
to? They're going to look to Pitt. And Pitt's going to find a way to get
trust
open
is
and
there.
get the ball, catch the ball, get the first down, keep the chains moving, and keep the drive alive. So what Pitt's doing, he's doing a great job for the team, and the team wants to get him involved because they know that when he does get involved, the team's more successful.
And everybody knows where the football's going. That's the thing that I love. Everybody, I mean, all these teams, the scouting reports out there, they know, hey, they're going to target 11. And you know what? He's still able to go in week in and week out and do his thing.
All right, to drive it all home, I mean, I love this one. Since 1970, only 5 players have compiled longer streaks than Pittman's 6 games with 8 straight catches. All right, you ready? Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Okay.
New Orleans is Michael Thomas. Antonio Brown when he was with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They each share the record with 8. Travis Kelce and Anquan Bolden are next with 7. You know who I didn't say? I didn't say Marvin Harrison. I didn't say Reggie Wayne.
Didn't say
I didn't say
Jerry
Chris
Rice.
Carter, Jerry Rice.
Randy Moss.
I didn't say Randy Moss.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, this is some rare air right now that Michael
100%.
Pittman Jr. is in terms of just overall consistency, the level in which he's playing right now.
And that's what you want as a player. You want to be consistent. You want to be consistent from game 1 to game 17 and hopefully in the playoffs. That's what you want to do so that, hey, when it comes down to a crunch time in the game, the team can count on you being there. And Pitt's been that guy thus far this year for the Colts.
There you go. There you go. You guys ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
You are
exciting.
I'm fired up. This one, I mean, this is this is essentially a playoff game, and I love all that goes into it. I'm pumped. I'm fired up.
All right, you got to steal some terrible towels in Touchdown Town for us. All right, you got to take them and you got to stomp on them. You got to do something very demonstrative.
If I can get
within
close,
your personality.
If I can get close
No
enough,
sticks. Don't listen to any sticks. I don't.
No yinzers.
if I can get close enough to get one, I'm gonna see if I can get one.
Yins. Where did yins come from, anyways? The origin of yins.
No idea.
What is the etymology of yins?
Now we've opened Pandora's box. Uh-oh.
Talk about it. Yeah, I got to stop the screen game too. That's Pandora's box.
Yes.
Also
Yeah.
the yinzers.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Interesting dialect there in Pennsylvania, but they got to come to town. They got to come to Lucas Oil Stadium. The Colts looking for their first win against the Pittsburgh Steelers since 2008.
Wow.
That was 15 years ago.
2008. And they haven't won in Indianapolis since 2005
Yeah.
against the Steelers.
So some streaks
Man,
on the line.
let's just break all that right now,
Yes.
please.
Dubious streaks that need to be snapped this weekend at Lucas Oil Stadium, and we are here for you the entire time. We got you locked and loaded here on the Colts Audio Network to listen back to any of the content we had earlier in the week on the Tuesday edition of the Official Colts Podcast. That's available for you. Inside Football with Rick Venturi is available as well. We got locker room stuff. We got interviews with players. We are locked and loaded. Pivotal game in Week 15, and that'll do it for us here on the Official Colts Podcast. The Thursday crew, Bill Brooks, Casey Vallier, I'm Matt Taylor signing off, and we will talk to you next week right here on the Official Colts Podcast, brought to you by Wynn Las Vegas.